Hey, more about this later, because I want to crack on. But in the description of this episode is a link to get you set up with a 30-day free trial of Amazon Prime Video. Thank you to Amazon for affiliating with me, and thank you to you for listening. On with the show. Hello, and welcome to Never Is Funny, the show where I, Patrick, talk to funny people and hope to God they talk back. This time, I'm speaking to someone a step above just a comedian. This is the man who pulls the strings. I'm speaking to Gabriel Foster Prior, writer-director of sci-fi comedy The Bystanders. Its byline is, "The bystanders are chosen to be guardian angels who watch over their chosen human subject and intervene in, or interfere with, their lives." Before anything else, this is a great movie. It's funny, it's off the wall, it's surreal, which makes it exactly my type of treat. I swallow it right down. God, that was delicious. What's going on? Me and Gabriel talk about making The Bystanders, about his career in editing, directing, his much more central career of heading up a fantasy football team, and the lost reasoning behind why guardian angels tweak freaky style off of oven cleaner and petrol. This is Never As Funny. It's showtime. Welcome back to the show, where I talk to comedians in the know. That's right. It's Never As Funny. It's Never As Funny. The show's it's called Never As Funny. It's the name of the show, by the way. Never As Funny. That's the gist of it. The name. The show's called Never. This is like the title music. It's called Never As Funny. All right. So yes, welcome back to the show, everyone. This is Gabriel Foster Prior, who has just informed me. You've let me down quite a lot here, unfortunately, but that's all right because I let you down quite a bit by starting. What is it, 6.25 hours after? But yes, you said in terms of your eccentric like story or whatever that you spent a lot of time thinking about your fantasy football team. Was it who to select for captain?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a big decision every week.
Have you settled on someone?
Yeah. A Norwegian called Erling Haaland, who has been really, really, really good for the last few years, but really, really bad for the last few months.
Right. You have to get in touch with it.
Yeah. I'm looking for a turnaround.
That's actually great because I was like, oh, whoever you're going to say, I'm not going to know. This is the one person I have heard of because I had, as a guest on the show last series, a comedian, Pernilla Holland.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Who, a big part of her introduction to her set is going, no, I'm not related. So that's given me some context.
Yeah. I've heard her on another podcast.
How's the games going? I don't know enough about.
The games actually don't start. They like make you choose your captain 1.5 hours before the games start.
Okay. How does it work?
They just give you points for like a goal and an assist.
Okay.
But what's funny about it is everyone, I'm not the only one, a lot of people take it quite seriously, spend quite a lot of time researching who to pick. And there's a lot of competition amongst friendship groups. Like, I'm in a group with some of my uncles, which I'm desperate to win.
Right. For
example, there's also work groups. But what's interesting about it is there's no prize.
Right.
Or like there's some maybe there's like a squidgy toy and some a certificate if you win. But the amount that people care about it based on how little you actually get for winning is quite extraordinary. I think what you might enjoy more is there's a lot of like weight put on the names of the teams. You have to make a pun based on like a football related pun.
Oh, very good.
So you'd probably enjoy naming your team more than you would playing the game, I'd imagine.
What have you gone for with yours?
Mine was Ezri. Well, okay. I had one which was on my fantasy draft, which was there's a player for Fulham, which is a team I support, called Emile Smith-Rowe.
Okay.
So I put Smith-Rowe versus Wade, and that got disallowed. They said you're not allowed. That's too controversial. It's like I'm not saying my opinion either way. I'm just punning on it. But so I went for everything but the girl. Eze being a footballer that I like, and everything.
That's good.
But the girl being a 90s band.
That's very good. I'll have to have a think about that. But yeah, other than
Yeah, you should think of a Haaland one because that's the footballer you know.
I should. Yeah, the one I do know.
You've got until the end of the... If I say you've got until the end of the episode to think of it, then you're just not going to concentrate on the whole episode.
That's
true,
you're just
going to be thinking of Haaland puns.
I do know another, and there's a guy called Messi, right? He's involved somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so other than, I mean, obviously, I assume that's your main career is heading up that team. But aside from that...
Yeah, time-wise.
So you are a director, and the film that we're going to be talking about today, which I'm partway through watching at the minute, very much enjoying it, is a comedy film. Would you call yourself a comedy director, or is that just gone this direction for this one?
I directed this film, which is The Bystanders, which is a feature film, but just one feature film.
Yeah.
And then I've directed some short films, which are also comedies. But I think it might be a bit pretentious to introduce myself as a comedy director quite yet, but maybe, depending on if I was trying to impress someone or not, you know.
Right, yeah.
But no, my background is editing. Is what I've done much. I mean, I've always done both, but what I've done more of is editing, and not always comedy, just whatever, because it's like a job, so it's whatever.
Yes, yeah.
You get offered, you know. But I've got friends that do comedy, and just someone that watches quite a lot of comedy. A friend of mine who's in the film is a stand-up, so I was when we were in our 20s, I used to go to a lot of gigs with him, and when you're surrounded by the comedy world, you get into it, I guess.
Yes, definitely. I mean, so what was the growth like then from, so you said from most of career-wise you've been doing editing and things. Was directing, has that always been like, oh, this is what I want to do, or did you just kind of fall into it? What was the...
Well, I think when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I think my plan was to absolutely nail editing, become the best editor in the world, win a bunch of Oscars for editing, and then after that move into directing. And once I hit my early 30s, I kind of started to realize that life doesn't quite work like that. And just becoming a good editor would take an entire lifetime of effort. So if I did want to focus more on the directing, it's something I'd have to kind of do myself, you know, make happen and not wait too long, basically. So yeah, I did this very independent film and just kind of made it happen myself with the help of friends and people I knew in the industry and family. A lot of I wrote it with a friend I went to school with, Jack Hughes.
Yes.
And Sean Walsh, who's one of the lead actors, also I went to school with. My dad did the music. My brother did the visual effects. Yeah.
The music it's great.
Friends and family.
Congratulations to your dad for that.
Oh yeah, I'll let him know for sure. Yeah, I mean he's a musician and has been his whole life and done many things himself. So, but it wasn't just getting my dad to. I wouldn't have got my dad if he wasn't a musician. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a great thing to have in your back pocket. I mean, it's really an impressive, given what you said, that not to downplay it, obviously, but that, you know, family and friends and cobbling together connections you knew. It's a really impressive, as well as just a good movie. It's his overall product is very slick. I really like as an audio podcast, it's slightly difficult to describe, but the sort of like animation work in it is really nice.
Oh yeah, rotoscoping. So Jack Hughes, who I wrote the script with, me and him used to do that when we were teenagers, and I did it a bit in art school as well, and he did it in his digital degree. So we both had done it like quite a lot. So when we came to do a film, it's basically, when I say it's basically like using a printer and printing out frames and then either drawing or painting on top of the frames and then scanning them back in. And so you basically take a video, turn it into an image sequence, print the frames, affect them in some way, and then scan them back in, turn it back into a video. So we always kind of knew we would do that for like the teleporting and stuff. Yeah,
definitely. How long does that take? Like if you're, I don't know, like if it's a few seconds of, like you said, the teleporting and things, when you're printing out frame by frame, how long does it take to finish it?
Yeah. Well, so I think, you know, if you imagine you've got 3 seconds, 24 frames a second, you know.
Yeah.
Is that 72? So I want to say 72.
That sounds right.
Yeah, it sounds right. So you've got to imagine that 72 bits of paper for 3 seconds, I mean, there is a couple of things you can do, which was like, we can do it at 12 frames a second rather than 24.
Yeah.
Thus having to do half as many frames. And you get a slight glitchiness that you might get from you associate with things like stop frame animation, and it kind of has its own quality. So sometimes that's not a bad thing. And then doing a couple of frames per page rather than doing 1 frame on every page saves paper. But a lot of the time, the problem is, so Jack would come over, a lot of it was in lockdown, and, we would just sit around and have some cans and do some painting like grown-ups should do, right? But a lot of the time, the problem is the printer.
Right.
Because enough stand-ups have done routines about this that I'm not going to do some hack material about printers, but they really are the worst, right? They.
What's the deal with them?
Yeah, I mean, what is the deal with printers? But you genuinely end up like banging your fist on a printer quite a lot when you're doing this kind of work, and the ink not working, and a lot of the sessions were spent like going to some obscure part of northwest London to buy the exact printer ink we needed, and things like that.
Definitely. Okay, so to pull back a bit, because the way my mind works is if I don't restrain myself, the rest of the podcast is going to be me asking you questions about rotoscoping. So
I'm up for that.
Definitely. So I get to pull way back to introduce the film. What's your pitch for it if you were introducing it to someone?
They're like guardian angels. They don't have halos. They don't have wings. So visually they're wearing these blue coats, but we can't see them. But each one of us has one. They're meant to look after us, but they're not very good at their jobs. So they're irresponsible, they're irritable, sometimes they're drunk, and they squabble amongst themselves. And we're the pawns in this deranged game of chess that they play, trying to, one-up each other. I have no idea that that's why our lives are complete chaos, because in another dimension, the bystanders are having a little tiff.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great part of it.
So it's kind of, it's a buddy movie, and it's 2 of the bystanders having said tiff. And the humans they're meant to be looking after's lives are being affected. So that's, I've done that enough times that I had it in the locker. I don't know if you could tell.
No, it was good. It was great.
There's a bit where you're like, the wheels have started to turn again. And then you're like, oh yeah, I remember this pitch.
Turning away, yeah. But yeah, it's great, especially so I wanted to mention a scene that happens quite early on, but obviously if I'm saying anything that is too spoiler heavy, or if you want to mess with me afterwards and then tell me to cut it out, let me know.
Cool.
But there's a great part because you mentioned the drinking, that they're getting drunk, and one of the rules that they have is that they can't drink alcohol, so they have to get their fix from, I think one of them is oven cleaner. I think there might have been something else.
Yeah, oven cleaner, petrol.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you going to ask why?
I wasn't actually, although I would.
Okay, good.
I would love to know, but
because we forgot.
Oh, really?
It took us so long to write the script, and then the other day I was talking to Jack, and I was like, "Why did we make it that they can't drink alcohol and they have to drink petrol and oven cleaner?" And he's like, "I cannot remember."
I mean, I never questioned it.
No, why would? Yeah.
There's this great scene where it's like they're all at their pub and they're all getting drunk, and it's the kind of classic, you have the shots of them chucking it back from the perspective of the top of the glass, but in between every other one they're also squirting the oven cleaner into their mouth. It's very nice. It's just a great little piece of thing. How did the whole concept of it, so with the bystanders of this group of kind of low tier bureaucratic guardian angels?
Damn, I should have got you to help with my synopsis. Low tier bureaucratic guardian angels. That's probably better than what we had.
But yeah, how long has this been? Because you said you swapped from editing to make this because you were like, right, okay, I got it. This is what I want to chase. Is this something you'd had in your back pocket for a long while, or did it come after the decision to direct something? Yeah,
no, it's never really switched from editing more.
Yes.
Did it on the side, when you do with these passion projects, So the editing was continuing. I was trying to save a bit of money from the editing to put towards the film. But because I was working, I was, and Jack had a job as well. We'd meet at weekends, the occasional evening or whatever, and we'd do some writing. So because of that, it took quite a few years to write. I think if we were to be, if we'd have a didn't have jobs and were just writers,
Oh, that'd be nice.
then I think it wouldn't have taken us nearly as long. But then it's kind of, yeah, that'd be nice. I don't know, there's some benefits as well because you see things constantly giving a little bit more time and you go, you get a bit of perspective and stuff. We did do one writer's retreat, which was we went to a place called Stroud. Again, don't remember why Stroud. But, it was an Airbnb, and then there was some there's a chance my daughter might drop in and say hello. And we're like, oh, yeah, no, fine. So we go to this Airbnb, it's like this little bungalow, and then sure enough, the daughter comes along and she's with her boyfriend. And they come into the flat, they say hello, we're like, hi, and then they just stay, and we're like, oh, okay, we didn't realise we'd be sharing this with some teenagers, but it was fine. And that basically turned into a full-on house party. And they were all doing ketamine and listening to this happy hardcore kind of style music. So, and that was our writer's retreat. We ended up sitting in, I remember we ended up sitting in one of the bedrooms watching Jim Jeffries' Netflix special, just trying to drown out the sound of this terrible happy hardcore music.
You didn't ask any of them for input on the writing and direction of the project.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a couple of things that came out of it. I'm sure there was a couple of, I wish I could remember exactly what, but I seem to remember there might have been a couple of lines that they'd said that we just gave to characters, but
none of them were drinking oven cleaner. That wasn't the genesis for that.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, it took ages because we're just doing it over, you probably can relate in terms of, I don't know if you have...
Oh, yes, yeah.
Another job or whether this podcast is...
Oh, I wish I...
Yeah. So, side hustles.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
What's your job?
At the moment, so because I just moved to Cardiff, that was part of the reason why, really, because I lived in quite a tiny rural area. So one is working at a pub, which is nice. It feels very... I hadn't had any experience at all going in. So I just kind of showed up and they were like, have you done this before? And I was like, well, I worked at McDonald's for a couple of months, 6 years ago, and blagged my way through. And then the other one is hosting TikTok live streams for a makeup brand.
Oh, okay.
Which is, that one's kind of nice because it sort of is a bit analogous with this one. But yeah, definitely the balancing things is tricky.
Worked in pubs.
Right.
In my past, but I have never hosted TikTok live streams.
It is.
So I can relate to one of the two things you just said.
There will be something in it for me.
I liked working in pubs. It was fun. I worked in a pub called the Grand Central, which was right next to Brighton train station.
Oh, right.
And they had quite expensive pints, and a lot of this reoccurring theme was Northerners getting in at Brighton station, ordering their first pint, and then having a go at me that the pint was so expensive.
That always happens. People always sort of act as if you've set the prices personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the when you were saying and going on the writer's retreat and spending time side hustling on the writing of this, how did it come to you? Like I said, is this a right from the start you knew, okay, this is a project that I've had in my brain for ages and I want to put it down, or was it from scratch you had to come up with something?
So the initial idea was I was playing computer games with my brother.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of Guardian Angels was in my head because I'd watched Wings of Desire, the Wim Wenders film,
right,
a few days before. And I also realised from doing Q&As of this film at film festivals that my name is Gabriel and that I probably think about Guardian Angels more because of that.
Right, yes.
And someone said that to me in a question and answer, and I was like, oh yeah. So there's a kind of element of nominative determinism involved in doing an Angels thing. But I was just, I was playing video games with my brother, the story goes, and we spent a long time customizing a character.
Yes.
Choosing armor for an elf, I think is the line that I've been saying. And I did have the thought of if we had Guardian Angels, at the time, wherever it was, 2018.
Right.
How much time they would have to spend watching us do really stupid things on computers and how bored and annoyed they'd be with us because we used to be cool, So that was the very initial spark. And then I think I wrote one scene, which was this Guardian Angel shouting at his stoner computer game playing human. And that was like actually, completely different version of it, but something like that ended up as one of the scenes in the film. But the very initial scene, maybe a couple of like bits and bobs of info, but not much at all. And I brought it to Jack as a concept. And then together we outlined it and, plotted it and made a rules of the world kind of document where we decided exactly, for example, that's when we decided that they have to drink petrol and we can't remember why. And we decided, and we kind of had the story was kind of pretty much there from the beginning in terms of there being two of them and it being a buddy movie and there being the new guy and the more, world weary vet that's been doing it a long time and sick of humans. And it was kind of, I think it became more about their friendship and that kind of side of it more as we wrote it. I think at the beginning it was more, they were meant to kind of more represent two sides of, cynicism and a more kind of a positive approach to humans and humanity. So, yeah, that was kind of the idea that, one of them wants to help people and the other one really is not interested.
Yes, definitely. Okay, well, I really want to dive more into that, as I'm sure you're glad to hear, because that's why you are here. It'd be a little disappointing if I was like, all right, I'm bored of that now. Listen.
Yeah. I can talk about the pub more as well. I can't talk about TikTok live streams.
It's all good.
So you're hosting? You're like the host?
Yes. So at the minute did one, like a trial shift, quote unquote, where I kind of stood next to the woman who does the company, and I just kind of stand there and go, oh, these are the products we have. Ironically, it reminds me a lot more of McDonald's than the pub job does, because there's like a chat of a bunch of people, and we have to go like, oh. You're
selling products.
Yes.
It's like a kind of like QVC kind of thing.
Yes, basically, yeah. So we go like, oh, for the next 5 minutes, this is on sale, and then we'll pack it in front of you. And so we have them like coming through on a screen. And so, yeah, it's really not that different to getting a Big Mac coming through and making it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But yes.
Do you occasionally make jokes just to make yourself happy?
Oh, I do, yeah.
Just like, do you occasionally kind of like put really dry, slightly sarcastic comments hidden under the...
I do, yeah, and I think I gotta watch
I don't want to get you in trouble, actually. Maybe don't. Maybe don't answer that, actually.
I think I gotta watch it a little bit, because tend to have a bit of a motor mouth, which for a live thing where I'm representing a brand can be somewhat of a worry. But yeah, so as we get to the middle section, where I'm going to use a song of your choice, is there anything that particularly comes to mind?
Again, I read the email that you sent me way, way too late in the day. But since we talked about my dad being a musician, I'm going to go for a song from one of his bands.
Oh, brilliant.
So there's a song called Black and White by David Devont and his spirit wife, which features in the Bystanders.
Okay, great.
And my dad, Foz, plays guitar in this band. And I'm also a fan of the band, and actually I like them a lot.
That's fantastic. Is this like a song written recently, or is it like how long?
90s.
90? Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay.
They were big in the 90s.
Yes. Okay, fantastic. So here comes that. It was Black and White, right? By David Dupont and... Was it his spirit wife or the spirit wife?
Yeah. So the band is called David Devont.
David Devont.
Which is the name of a magician. David Devont and his spirit wife.
Brilliant. Well, here they come.
This is an advertisement.
I mentioned at the start about Prime Video, and let's both be real, you know what that is. It's Amazon's premier streaming service. There's a lot on there. The surprising amount of stuff, actually. When I'm desperately Googling, where can I stream X show UK, Prime Video's often the first place to pop up. And there's a lot of good comedy on there. For example, last week I forced my girlfriend to watch Nathan For You, which is one of my favorite funny shows of all time. She also encouraged me to watch Law & Order SVU, which is one of her favorite shows. And she's also informed me that it is now my favorite show. And if it isn't, our relationship is over. Anyway, if you'd like to try it out, the link in the description will get you a 30-day free trial to the service, which you can cancel anytime. If you do that, Amazon will give me a small commission, which means not only are you helping to support the show, you're helping me pay back the millions in debt I owe to the government of East Germany. Yeah, they're still around. And low-key, these guys, they don't play about their Deutschmarks. Thank you to Amazon. Thank you to you for listening. And it's middle section time, baby. Hello, everybody. Now, normally in this middle section, I prove my vast and unprecedented abilities by beating the guest at whatever game it is they play. Gabriel is a writer-director, and so I was going to provide for you a trial performance of my own screenplay, The Bystanders. However, Gabriel is not the angel, but a cunning and wicked and vile agent of Satan. And I have discovered, to my horror, that several years ago he stole my script for The Bystanders, word for word. Only thing he changed was the title to The Bystanders, which, let's be honest, is not as good. And as a show of pity, he has provided me with the song Black and White by the band David Devant and his Spirit Wives. So, for now, I will play that. But for later, Gabriel, I'm gonna see you in court, motherfucker.
Like 1,000 angels singing in the sky, God stands up for losers, like He does for you and I. Like an all-night party or a lover's fight, do you reminisce in black and white? Black and white. Oh, I woke up this morning, my head was full of rocks. Oh, I couldn't remember the night before. I'd lost a pair of shoes. Like an all-night party or a lover's fight, do you reminisce in black and white? Black and white.
I'm a big fan of the lapel mic. You look a little bit like you're undercover, although possibly not very well since it's very visible.
I actually bought this in order to do ADR for the film.
Oh, right.
Because we couldn't afford to go to a studio. So I just bought a little 70 quid mic that plugs in with a mini jack and an adapter. So I could plug it straight into my phone and use the phone as the recorder.
Yeah. Wow, that's very DIY.
Yeah.
So we talked a bit about all the kind of genesis of it. You started working on it during lockdown, came out last year. How did you find, because you said a lot of experience in editing, you're doing that simultaneously, and that you'd directed some short films before.
Yeah.
How did you find it getting into I don't know if you had a chair for it, but getting into the director's chair for a feature film like this for the first time? How was it balancing that with regular work as well?
Yeah, I had time off regular work. So I dedicated myself to this for a few months. And it was really fun. There was a lot of, I really enjoyed working with the actors and we had a real laugh. And my friend Sean, I got him to do it. So I had a friend that's, an old friend there. And then a lot of the cast and kind of become mates since. And a lot of the crew of people. It was because it's a small thing, you get a bit more of you are kind of able to joke around a bit more on set and,
right.
Yeah. And it was really nice. It was really nice. It's obviously obviously it's very stressful. There wasn't enough people. I was doing all the kit was being kept at our flat. So, I was always had to help load up all the kit, get into set, do the shoot, get in a van with the focus puller who was driving the van. I think she got like 5 or 6. We got like 5 or 6 letters after the shoot with still screenshots from traffic cameras showing her driving, in various wrong sides of the road and on the pavement, and sitting in the kit car getting home, because she always was very keen to get home, which is fair enough. But it was like first person mode on GTA. It was just absolute like clinging on to dear life. And then you'd get home, unload the kit, and then I'd do what's called DIT myself, which is the data transfer of the files, and I would have to do that before I went to bed. So I'm getting a few hours sleep every night. I'm also sleeping in the set. One of the sets that we'd used the bedroom we turned it into the stoner character's bedroom. So it had bongs and pot noodles and, set deck.
Yes.
But the set included a bed. So I was sleeping in that set, basically. So yeah, it was just total chaos. And a lot of the times enjoying it, but after like a week of it, enough things had gone wrong in a row. I just started to kind of almost give up hope. And then luckily, I think I said to Sean that I was thinking about just putting it on hold and going back to it. And he was like, yeah, what are you doing? You got this far.
Yes. Yeah.
Carry on. Yeah. Crack on.
I'm just the heating has just come on behind me, and
no stress.
I'm right next to pipes. So it's...
Yeah. I nearly put the dishwasher on in the break, and then I decided against it.
Yeah. It's especially because I short notice got an extender set up so I could record in this kitchen, but I need to put together a better space as well, because another thing I had to switch off was the freezer, which should be good for about half an hour, but probably not a great regular plan.
So I've got to try and take too long to say things, or else your frozen food might get to waste.
Exactly, food poisoning as a consequence. But yeah, I'm curious as well about the process of how straightforward was it in terms of so did you wrote the script and cast it and then filmed it, or was there a lot of how much did it change from beginning to end?
We did a week of rehearsals. It's funny, I was listening to another one of your episodes, and Jackson Lane got a shout out. Your previous guest said that he did a comedy course at Jackson's Lane. So my mum knows manager of Jackson's Lane, and he very kindly, gave us a very reasonable, deal on a room that we had for like a few days, or maybe even a little bit longer. So we did rehearsals. Not all of the actors could come to the rehearsals, but Andy, who plays Luke, the pre-mentioned stoner, he was there a long time. As we did some days with Scott, who plays Pete, and basically, in terms of things changing for the script, there was some of the rehearsals did give us kind of slightly better ideas for deliveries, or even like new elements to bring in. But yeah, and then on set as well, I do like to let them kind of not improvise, but if they have an idea, we kind of bring ideas to the table.
Yes, definitely. I did wonder, there's one line in it where I think the character's name is Frank, who Sean plays, is that right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Who's bystanding for Luke, and I think he calls him a chubby Jon Snow or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Just hearing that, I was wondering, was that...
No, that's a good spot of a line that wasn't in the script, yeah.
Right, yeah. I was wondering if you casted specifically for that.
Yeah, Andy kindly said, go for it. I was like, it's a bit mean. But we'd already filmed. Well, that was one of the stuff that we shot. We did main shoot in February 2020, and then we had to pause. We hadn't actually finished the shooting, even though I didn't give up.
Yes.
Despite not giving up, I still did not manage to finish the shooting. And then we thought we'd come back a couple of weeks later. It ended up being months later. So we're now a few months down the line and filming that cinema scene. And so we already had been watching rough cuts.
Yes.
And people kept saying that Andy looks like Jon Snow. And then we just did it in the line of ADR, basically.
Right, yeah.
No, sorry, I'm getting confused. So we went to the cinema scene, and then we didn't do it because I thought it was a bit too mean. I didn't want to call Andy. And then when I spoke to him, he was like, "Why didn't you do it? That's funny." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then we did it as ADR. That's what happened.
Right, yeah. I'm fascinated by a little bits of process like that. One thing I was thinking about as well is...
I'm chubby myself, so that's why I'm allowed to call people chubby, right?
Is one of the main like visual things that you do to swap between the dimension of regular humans and the bystanders is swapping between the black and white and color, which is very fun. It reminded me quite a bit of The Wizard of Oz in the beginning when...
Nice, yeah.
And so when the bystanders are invisible, so when they move objects and things in the black and white real world, people just see the object moving. How did you have things on strings? Like, how were you doing things like mugs moving around and stuff like that?
Yeah. Chicken, wasn't it? What it's called? Chicken wire.
Right.
Or fishing wire. You know, that see-through?
Yes, yeah.
So the bit where the canister falls from it's floating in and it falls.
Yeah.
So we've got the end of a broom, like a broomstick.
Right.
Broomstick? That's not what... Is a broomstick like a witch... What's the end? The stick of a broom called? Is that actually called a broomstick? Anyway, we had that and I painted it green and then...
Oh, right.
So that we could just make it easier to cut. Anyone who does VFX is now listening to this going, why did you paint it green? Because I remember like my brother who did the VFX was like, I'm just masking around this shape and that there's no need for that to be green. I was like, yeah, whatever. But I did paint a broom handle green nevertheless. And then we had chicken wire and then it floated. And at the moment it to fall like...
Yes.
Probably it was actually me, to be fair. I can't remember who did it. Cut the wire with a pair of scissors. So very sophisticated. There's a lot of things in this film that are like techniques that have pretty much the same techniques that were used in George Méliès's Trip to the Moon in 1895. Right. It's like, it's quite a lot of very base filmmaking, but we like that and hopefully gives it some charm.
Definitely, yeah.
But and the black and white and colour, me and Jack are both fans of Wings of Desire, the Wim Wenders film, which is a much more serious grown-up film about angels. And we both really like it. So it was like an homage, but also like a really useful filmmaking. I call it like the kind of grammar of the film. You know what I mean? Like once you establish something with the audience, they go, okay, I get it. This is what this is. This is what this is. And you've established your own grammar. And then you could use that to really effectively just shorthand, okay, this is what the angel sees. This is not what the human sees. And it kind of lets you do extra visual jokes. And we did think, is it going to be, because there's quite a lot of films that do black and white to colour, but they do it usually on a scene by scene basis rather than a shot by shot basis.
Right.
And there are some scenes in Bystanders where it cuts between black and white and colour.
Yes.
One shot and to another. So we did a test shoot where we tried it out and we found that if we balance the contrast of the shots, then it doesn't really hurt your brain as much as...
Right.
Well, it doesn't feel to at all. It feels like you adapt to it really quickly and it's just fine. One thing we did try at one point in the development was I had this idea. I wanted the Bystanders world to be on film and the human world to be in digital, which I never could have afforded anyway. But at this point, we were still looking at bigger budgets or whatever. So I did rent a film camera and did a test. And I found that was too much of a jump.
Right, too jarring for...
Because at one point, you kind of had this slight feeling of, can you just settle down and choose one, guys? It was like, you never could settle into it with the jumping between the film and digital. But yeah, with the black and white colour, it's the key we discovered was balancing the contrast. And as long as the blacks are the same level and the whites are the same level,
right? Yeah.
Then visually it doesn't hurt your brain to jump between the two.
That's very interesting. Yeah, that never was something that would have occurred to me. But yeah, because while watching it, that was never a thing. But it's interesting.
You just need some consistency.
Yeah.
If the saturation's gonna jump, everything else needs to stay consistent.
Right. Of course. Was it, in terms of, you mentioned it as grammar and for the audience to kind of like pick up on what's happening. I thought that's one of the things that's done very well is because with something like this, like you mentioned, you have kind of a lore document.
Yeah.
Did you find it tricky at all to kind of work out how to balance we need the audience to know what's going on, but also we can't stop and explain everything every 2 seconds and we need to make sure things are obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that actually, because a lot of films these days are, meant as sequels and franchises and everything. And this was never that. It was always just, this is a standalone film.
Yeah.
So we really didn't want to have that feeling you get when you watch a modern film where you feel like the first 3/4 of it are all set up.
Yes.
And you're just waiting, okay, come on, get going. So we decided to, people would be okay if they didn't have all of the lore and they'd have to get it in bits and pieces from what happens in the film. And, we knew the rules, but they only were kind of told to the audience as when they come about. Well, that's not strictly true. There's also the training video.
Yes.
Yeah, the other trick we did was MacLeod plays Norm, who is a kind of administrator for the Bystanders. And there's a 1980s, the kind of video you would get in like at school,
yes.
When I went to school in the 90s, when it was like the teachers were on strike or whatever, and they just wheel a VHS player in, and it's, now this is a 45-minute video about atoms, all shot on VHS with a really cheesy man with a centre parting. That kind of thing. And Marek had done some similar kind of videos himself.
Right.
Like released on YouTube, these kind of funny kind of faux how-to videos. And so I knew I wanted Marek for that role. So as soon as that idea was raised, it was straight away kind of locked in because we just knew that Marek would do such a good job of it. It's kind of like in Jurassic Park. They use the same
Yes,
trick.
yeah. The DNA scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked Marek and his character Norm in this, especially that training video that was the first.
Marek's genius.
There's so many little just visual things that he's doing. Again, it's audio podcast, difficult to describe, but there's a part where he has one thumb up and then he says something else that's also a positive, and he kind of looks at his thumb and realizes it's already up. So he kind of like awkwardly holds up his other one and looks at it. It's lots of really good little physical things.
And that's not in the script. That's him being really clever, because he's obviously kind of playing it like this guy's, tried to follow the script.
Yes.
And the script says do the thumb up later, but he's already done it there. So it's very clever, subtle little choice. Yeah, Marek's very, very good.
Yeah, it's very good. So it came out and you took it to, I very clearly don't know a lot about the process for all this works, but you released it and it's taken to festivals and things. At that point, how were you feeling about it? Did you feel like, oh, this is great, this is going to do well? Or were you kind of like on the edge of your seat? What was your kind of thought process at that time?
I remember a lot of the last, 2022 was just trying to get it finished. And it was just like, we'd finished the shoot and post-production, it was just, everything was taking a long time. We didn't have much money and stuff. And I started sending it to festivals, film festivals, but I didn't have a final version.
Right.
So I was just sending them a work in progress saying, like this, but better, imagine, guys. And then because it was a work in progress, I started with all the more ambitious ones, but I was not expecting necessarily to get in. And one of them was the Austin Film Festival. And then I just got this email saying that we'd got in, and that was really, really cool. And then it was also really good because that allowed us, it gave me something to tell the people that were helping me get it finished.
Yes, yeah.
I have told them, because I said it's a work in progress, but I also said a date that we'd be done.
Right, yeah.
It was long, weeks and weeks before this email had arrived. But obviously we weren't done. So I used that as motivation to get everyone to finish the film. And that was just really exciting. Yeah, we went to Austin. I was sat, we didn't win an award. We were nominated for like a comedy Vanguard, and we were sat at a table at an award ceremony with Darren Aronofsky,
oh my God.
At another table.
Right.
And it's like, this is so cool. And Stephen Bircher was there and stuff. I met Shane Black as well, who's like,
damn, yeah.
Which was something we talked about, making Bystanders. Is like Nice Guys is one of my favorite buddy comedies. So I did watch that and think about like what they there's the classic kind of buddy comedy two-shot.
Yes.
And that there's these kind of conventions but just, really, really cool. And then, festivals is really a really good thing to do because you're just meeting other filmmakers and it gives yourself a chance to actually feel like, okay, it never really ends, like the film there's always more needed, whether it's post-production and then it's distribution. You've always got other bits, it's very needy.
Yes.
But yeah, the festivals give you a chance to actually like take it in and go, okay, I've done this. There's an audience. It's finished. they're clapping.
Yes.
And you actually, it's very, because I say about my friends being comedians, they have that instant gratification. They tell a joke, people laugh on stage, and then they clap every night. It's like you make a film and then 7 years later, some people clap in a film festival. It's crazy. But yeah, that was good. And the bit that the festival was really cool. The bit that I was very pleasantly surprised with was the reviews. And this sounds like I'm just saying this to plug the film, and I partly am.
Yes.
But we got 4-star reviews of Total Film and SFX, and we got a nice 3-star review of The Guardian. And not that I don't like the film, but what I was pleased by is that they took it for what it is.
Right.
And they knew I talked about how it was made in podcasts and stuff, I guess. And they kind of saw it for what it was. And I was a bit worried that they were going to go, the reviewers were just going to go, well, this is not as good as the latest Will Ferrell film. You guys suck. I don't know, or like whatever. But yeah, I think people kind of took it for what it was, and the response was really nice. And yeah, it's just been very positive, and and kind of helped me to lead on to be able to do new films.
Yes,
hopefully as well.
That's brilliant. And that's what I was, to wrap or head towards wrapping things up. I was going to ask about that, and just what's next for you after this?
So nothing confirmed. I'm just I tell you what, do you write scripts ever?
It's something I've dabbled in.
Yeah. So it's interesting how hard writing one is compared to writing another.
Yes.
And then writing another. So I spent maybe years and years doing you do one, and then I'm now finding it's a bit faster.
Yes.
So I'm starting to I want to try and have a few scripts so that things are ready to go. When an opportunity comes along, I think, a good bit of advice is that I was given by someone, I can't remember who, was, just the writing is the one bit that's free. Everything else in filmmaking costs money. So just have as many scripts in your back pocket. So I'm kind of in the process of, I've done one new feature script, which is in development already, and hopefully will get made in next winter, which is about conspiracy theories, amongst other things, and the idea that there might be a new Bermuda Triangle in Iceland.
Oh, that's very up my alley.
Nice. I'll let you know if we get it made. But I don't want to talk about, I don't
absolutely.
want to. Well, not that I don't want to give anything away. I've got no idea if this will actually happen. Yeah. So it's like, at the moment, it's like someone telling you their dreams. It's just a bunch of stuff that isn't real. But I've written a sitcom for the first time ever recently as well.
Oh,
and again, with no knowledge of how that could possibly actually happen, but just because I watch a lot of sitcoms and enjoy them, and I like writing now. So
yes, yeah.
I was like, I should write a sitcom. I've really enjoyed that. That one's gone out really quickly and been really fun.
Yeah, that's really good.
I've got no idea what I'm doing.
Oh,
what would you do if you had written a sitcom? What would you do next if you'd written a sitcom?
With the sitcom or just in life?
Yeah, make dinner. Yeah, with the sitcom. I don't know. Have you spoken to anyone on this podcast who's like an expert in getting?
I haven't.
Sitcoms made.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, it's not something I've had much experience. I haven't spoken to many people. I think there might have been. I think I've at least spoken to one other person who unfortunately is in the exact same position as you, where they've written one or they're working on one.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's probably quite a lot of us.
Yeah, I did speak to someone. I mean, this isn't really the same type of thing, but I spoke to Derek Mitchell, I think it was last series, who was talking about how he was really interested in the idea of doing some kind of web series style sitcom. He referenced one, I don't remember what it's called. It was one which had a bunch of New York comedians and things in it, I think.
Yeah, you can get half decent money on YouTube these days, can't you? If you partner with a channel that already has subscribers.
Oh, absolutely.
Me and Sean did a web series, or a kind of web series called The Drunk, which were these like 2-minute episodes.
Right.
Well, they're actually kind of 2 short films. One's 5 minutes and one's like 7 minutes. But we also broke them up into these little 2-minute chunks and released it on. But we didn't do an amazing job of releasing it. But I really like them. They're like, Sean wrote them and he's a big Charlie Chaplin fan. He's just doing his kind of physical comedy thing as a drunk trying to get home from the pub and breaking into his own house.
Yes.
So they're on YouTube. People can watch them. But yeah, I think what I've been told what I need to do is apparently I need to find an agent
Yes.
for writing.
Yeah.
So, and then I reread my sitcom and went, oh, actually, I don't want to send this to any agents. I want to do more work on it because it's not good enough.
Yes. I mean, that's the tricky part with the writing, is that it is free and you can just do it, but also it's very hard to know when you're satisfied with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, great. So, I mean, circle back to things like The Drunk as well, because I want to do any and all plugs you'd like to do. But first, I think now would be a good time. So I was thinking, if you're cool with it, I was thinking I could use the trailer and play the audio for that, if that would work. Unless if there's anything specific that you would like me to use instead.
Okay, cool. I'll send you a clip from the film.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Shall I tell you what the clip is so you've got it for the...
Yes, there we go. Yeah, okay, great. A little bit of context for an exclusive.
So I'm just thinking off the top of my head what would be a good clip. I think there's a scene where our pre-mentioned stoner has met a girl and they're having breakfast.
Yes.
She stayed over and they're having breakfast. Because that's just dialogue. So it hasn't... Yeah, it hasn't got any as much visual stuff going on as some of the other scenes. So maybe because that's just dialogue, that might be a good one. I'll play you that. I'll send you that.
Yes, that'd be great. And I want to say as well, I do really love the dialogue in this one. I think one that kept playing through my mind is just a really short interaction, but between, I think he says his name is Norm, and the two bystanders, where they're trying to make a change of some kind. And he's like, oh, so when will that happen? He's like, it's done. And he's like, but when's that going to happen? He's like, it's in the past, it's done. And it just goes back and forth, and it's a great little
nice
interaction.
A lot of it I don't remember who wrote, but I do actually specifically remember that was Jack.
Brilliant.
So I'm going to say that.
Congratulations to Jack on that one. Oh, well, actually,
congratulations,
saying congratulations feels somewhat pretentious, considering it's just saying something I've liked as if I'm awarding. But yeah, okay, here comes that breakfast scene.
So hungover.
Oh, I know.
I found this DVD. It looks interesting.
Yeah, it's actually Blu-ray, but yeah.
I love Mexico. I went there on my gap year.
Really? Do you speak Mexican?
Spanish.
Yeah, of course. Sorry.
Más o menos.
Whoa. Have you ever watched Mexican wrestling?
I don't think so.
I mean, if you want to stick around, we could watch it. I've got a really big telly.
Great. I hope everybody enjoyed that. And yeah, so in terms of plugs, I guess probably the best thing to start with would be Bystanders. Where can people find that, watch that?
So Amazon UK, Apple, YouTube, and apparently Microsoft Store.
Oh.
Although I don't know really what that is. I think that means you can watch it on your PlayStation. But yeah, probably most people will be watching it on Amazon or YouTube, I guess.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I'll put links to that below. And then, anything else? Like you said, The Drunk. I don't know if you have any particular social medias you'd like to plug.
Well, I'm on Instagram, which is my full name, Gabriel Foster Prior. And I'm actually waiting for Sean to post. He's going to repost The Drunk.
Okay.
As reels. So when he does that, I'm going to repost that as well, or story it or something. But yeah, the Drunk you can get on his YouTube, Sean Walsh, on his YouTube channel. He just posted the 2 short films, Drunk.
Oh, brilliant.
The Drunk 1 and Drunk 2. It's very us that we decided to make a prequel to a short film. I don't think anyone else has. It's definitely such a weird decision.
A little cinematic universe.
Ironically, we were probably hungover when we made that decision, but rather than making 2 different short films like everyone else, that's definitely a better idea, right? We just made it the same film again. Well, not the same film, but we made a prequel to a short film that no one asked for. But yeah, they're both available on his website. And if you do watch Bystanders, firstly, thank you for, supporting independent film. And then if you like it, it's always really helpful for us to leave a review on IMDb or Amazon or Letterboxd. I think that's it, really. I think Bystanders on Amazon or on YouTube. Actually, if you've got when does this go out?
I'm actually hoping to get this out just this Friday.
Oh, sweet. Okay. So, God, I don't know exactly how this works, but because it was on London Live, you might be able to watch it on catch up.
Okay.
If you have like Sky or Virgin Media or something.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I shouldn't be saying this because obviously then I'm stopping people from paying $3.49 to rent it, of which I get about 20p. But, but yeah, you might be able to watch it on catch up on
great.
Virgin Media and Sky as well if you're
Brilliant.
quick.
Well, yeah, I'll put all of that in the show notes. And yeah, I think thank you very much for coming on. This has been great. I'm pretty new to comedy in general anyway, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be Googling facts about rotoscoping and things like that after this. I like learning new things. So
Nice.
That's been good.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing we do with the rotoscoping, it's not that kind of commonly used in features, but you'll see it it's actually a bit trendy. It's like the opening to the football show Match of the Day does this kind of style. But
Okay.
a lot of it's like adverts. I see it on adverts all the time. It's quite in vogue, but a lot of the time they're using After Effects and they're doing digital versions of these things.
Right.
They're like using paper texture layers on After Effects and they're blah, blah. So I do think the fact that we really print and scan is so much more time consuming, but I do think it does give it a certain quality that you wouldn't be able to get from that kind of handmade feel that is, you can never fully replicate if you're doing it on the computer.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, it's not something that, I mean, there's a couple of films that do rotoscoping, which are linked later. Talking of, there's an Austin connection there. There's another reason it was cool to get into Austin. So he did 2 films, Scattered Darkly and Waking Life.
Okay.
And they're both rotoscope films. God, someone gave me some other really good examples the other day, but I can't remember them. But yeah, so basically it's just the phrase is used either in relation to cutting people out in visual effects work, but it's also a kind of animation technique, which is like where you actually film live. The point is the difference between a rotoscopic animation and normal animation is you film first and then you do stuff on top of the stuff you filmed. Whereas every other type of animation, you're creating it from scratch rather than having the filmed element.
I know The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings or both. I think it's the old Lord of the Rings was rotoscoped a lot.
That's right. Someone told me that on another podcast. Exactly. Yeah. And it's got a kind of interesting, I had a look at it after that and it's quite, it's just, there's some slight uncanny valley kindness to it because you're not used to seeing like animations.
Yeah, there's a lot of really bizarre stuff in it because I haven't seen the film. I've seen a video about the film, but
yeah, right. I've already seen clips. I've probably seen the same video. Have you seen the footage?
I think so.
Because it's like if you can, I think you can see the footage. It's like the final thing is like they're walking. It's Gandalf's walking on this like epic forest backdrops, but they didn't need to do all the background for the filming, so it's just like a wizard in someone's shed. It's really good.
Yeah, it is very good. Oh, the Zoom timer's about to run out. Okay, so
cool.
Yeah, again, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody should go check out Bystanders, The Drunk, anything else. And yeah, I'll see you guys again soon. And Gabriel, we'll see you at the Oscars.
Well, I'll let you know if I get my Bermuda Triangle film done.
Yes, absolutely.
Hopefully I get a chance to come back.
Brilliant.
Thank you for making it all the way to the end of the show. You can find the show on Instagram at neverasfunny, all one word, all lowercase. The music used in the intro and outro of the show is There It Is by Kevin MacLeod and Comtech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0, licensed creativecommons.org/licenses/by/4.0. The guest next time probably will be Raul Kohli, stand-up comedian. Alright, see you then. I've already done the bit of being like, love you at the end of it. I don't know what else to... I mean, chances are you haven't made it this far anyway. I'm just talking. I'm talking to you. Person to person. Me and you. I'll see you next time. My happy little bunny.